Hello, loves. I hope prep week is going well for you. It is Wednesday, so I hope by now you've had an opportunity to log into gethealthy.com. You've worked through your first few modules. If you have not done that, then by end of day today, please be sure to log on, and definitely you need to sign our coach-client agreement. And hopefully you've worked your way to the Facebook module and you have joined us here. Obviously, if you're watching this now, then you have gone ahead and done that. So, bravo. I wanted to take a few minutes to show you how I make my celery juice and talk about why we celery juice. So, in your ebook, there are 2 or 3 pages on celery juice and answering all of your questions, how to do it, why to do it. Can you prepare ahead of time? So before you ask any questions, please do take a few minutes to read through the pages in the ebook. Don't forget that the ebook is an interactive PDF. So open it with Adobe. You can go to the table of contents and click celery juice. It brings you right to that page. And just take a few minutes to look over the hows, the whys, and the questions. And then if you still have questions after that, please be sure to come back here, have a watch of this video, and ask away. So some of the benefits of celery juice, and this is so important. This is a little bit of learning 101 here as well. So the stomach is lined with acid. This acid is actually our first line of defense for parasites, bacteria, and it helps us break down our food. So no matter what substances you are taking, if you are not breaking them down to assimilate them into your body, no matter how clean your diet is, if you don't have the proper acid to break the food down, then the nutrients will never get to where they need to be. In fact, what might happen is leaky gut syndrome, where food and bacteria particles can actually seep through the gut lining and into the bloodstream and really wreak havoc. So if you are experiencing rashes, autoimmune symptoms, migraines, irritability, anxiety, depression, these could all be signs of leaky gut. And the way that we heal this leaky gut is by bringing homeostasis back to the stomach lining and incorporating some healing nutrients to help seal up that gut lining. So if you are experiencing or have had a history of acid reflux, there is actually a little bit of confusion when it comes to acid reflux. Often we think that acid reflux happens because of too much acid in the stomach. But what's actually happening is it is not enough acid in the stomach. And the food that we eat, when we do not have enough acid in our stomach, ferments and it creates bubbles that then rise up our esophagus and can actually burn our esophagus, our throats, and even corrode some of our teeth. It is really not good. If this is something you are experiencing, this reset cleanse will 100% help with that, at least move us in the right direction towards creating homeostasis in the stomach and reintegrating the integrity of the acid in your belly. There are some supplements that you can take, specifically hydrochloric acid. It is also known as HCl. I get mine from a company called Premier Research Labs. You want to make sure that you're taking this with an activator as well. But before we drop our money on expensive supplements, I really recommend coming back to the basics of celery juice. So one of the main benefits of celery juice is that it helps increase hydrochloric acid production in the stomach. So again, you might think, ooh, but if I'm having acid reflux, I don't think I want more acid in the stomach. What's happening, again, is the belly is not producing enough acid, and the food that you're eating is fermenting in your stomach, and it is causing problems. So we want to bring back a state of balance to the stomach by giving it the healing components that it needs to start producing acid again. Antacids are actually going to be working against you in the long run, because though they may feel like they are subsiding the symptoms at the moment, they're actually causing much more longer term pain and suffering. And the little pumps that produce the acid in your stomach, now you are suppressing them down, creating even less acid in your stomach, which in the long run is going to create more acid reflux, more fermentation of the food in your belly. So, I know that was a lot of information. I hope you learned a little bit of something. Let's get to the good stuff now. Whoop. Okay, so in your ebook, please go to the supplies page. In your table of contents, you can click on the supplies button. It'll bring you right to the page of required and recommended and then suggested supplies for this cleanse. One of them that I highly recommend is a nut bag. It is versatile, it is super light, it is more sturdy than a cloth cheese bag. It's kind of made out of like a plastic material, so I do not recommend ever heating it up. However, because it is so fine that you can really use this for anything. So over the course of this cleanse, this is going to come in very, very, very handy for you. It's a couple dollars on Amazon. Again, go to the supplies link in the ebook. It'll link you directly to a list in Amazon where you can get everything that you need for this cleanse via Amazon. So this, I have it inside out because I wash it both sides and then I let it just hang to dry. I just hand wash it in the sink. But if you want to experiment with making nut milk this cleanse, this is a really great tool. You know, it's quite easy to make nut milk. You just soak almonds overnight, pop it in the blender, squeeze it through one of these, and you have almond milk. Same with cashews. Buy some good organic cashews. Make sure they've been roasted because cashews can actually be toxic if they are raw and if you eat too many of them. But if you are buying them at the store, for the most part, they are processed and in a facility that removes the toxins. So, celery juice is another really great use for this. And I will dive in now. So, I've got my little strainer bag. I have my blender here. I'm going to get the lid. So if you have a really high quality cold pressed juicer, that is amazing and ideal, right? But we are always coming back to do the best you can with what you've got. This is a fundamental paradigm shift that I am offering to you guys because we all have very busy lives and money is tight, and that is just how things happen sometimes. Another paradigm shift, we are in abundance. We are always in abundance. There is always money and time to be had and to make. You just got to get creative on how to do it. So, do the best you can with what you've got. So, as someone who has been a nomad for the last 4 years, it is not very easy to travel the world with a juicer. It's quite impossible. But they now actually make really, really handy handheld blenders. And typically, any Airbnb that I stay in is equipped with a blender. And my little nut bag folds down into practically nothing. And I can stick this inside my suitcase and I don't even know that it's there. So there is one less obstacles to staying healthy while on the road or during a busy life, right? So, I have a couple celery stalks that I cut. This is one thing that you always want to make sure you buy organic. So based on the Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15 lists, which I will share here in our group, there are certain foods that you can get away with not buying organic. But something like celery juice where it is just raw, if pesticides were sprayed on this, there's not really any way of getting around that. So this 100% needs to be good quality, organic, pesticide-free, non-GMO. And I like to buy them cleaned up a little bit. You can juice the leaves of them, but that might cause them to be a little bit bitter, right? So I'm just going to carefully give these a rinse. Now I just rinse in cold water. Make sure you use your fingers to get any of the dirt off. If you buy organic celery, it might have some Dirt, sometimes they have even little bugs in there. Don't fret, they're good bugs. Bugs are good. We're feeding the good bugs in our belly. This is actually a really interesting concept that I learned yesterday, but pesticides are bug killers, right? When we spray Roundup on a dandelion, it actually shrinks up, turns into a heavy metal, and dies, right? Roundup that is sprayed on our food also is going to kill the bugs in our belly, and we want good bugs in our belly. The good bacteria in our belly, we do not want to die. So, something to think about today. Okay, so I'm just going to break this celery up into smaller chunks to make it easier for my blender. You know, a couple inches like this. I have my blender right here. Sorry you can't see it. There it is. Throwing the celery juice right in. Just a few stalks. Now the key here is you do need to add a little bit of water when you are using the blender. So I like to make sure I have filtered water. This is another huge learning lesson here, ladies and gentlemen. Please, please, please do your best to invest in a very good water filter, or invest in some bottled water that you can buy in bulk, because our tap water, my tap is right here, is full of chlorine and fluoride, again, to kill the bugs, right? What do you put in a pool in order to kill the bugs in your pool? Chlorine, right? So if you are drinking chlorine and drinking fluoride, here, add fluoride to it, it will be even that much more potent and strong. You are again massively interrupting the gut flora and fauna that you need in order to break down your food, to properly assimilate the nutrients that you need in there. So, really good filtered water is very important. High on the priority list. If there's anything else that you do during this time together, shift into filtered water and take the top 3 foods that you and your family consume most often and shift to GMO-free, pesticide-free, and organic. Antibiotic-free is another one. If you eat meat and if you eat fish, make sure it is wild caught, not farm raised. Okay, so I have now this much celery and about this much water in the end. I eyeball it. It's kind of the same way that I cook. This is why I'm not a huge baker, because for me that's too scientific. It looks like it's about a cup or 2 of water poured on top of the celery juice. It probably is a little bit, looks like more water than, because there's celery in it. So displacement, you know, science. Okay. Make sure my blender's on nice and tight. This is one of the ones that you can take the bottom off it to clean. Make sure it's on nice and tight so you're not leaking anywhere, and so like with anything that you're blending, sometimes you kind of have to get your whole chunks down there. If you're having problems, cut them into smaller chunks. Sometimes you gotta add a little more water. And blend it up till it looks like this, right? It looks like a green slushy. Okay, so now I've got my green slushy. I like to use a bowl or even a Tupperware, just because it's a little bit easier to pour into than a small cup. I'll use the Tupperware because it's clear. I literally just line the Tupperware with my nut bag, right? And then I pour it in. So I'm going to try to get this to where you guys can see me. Through the nut bag into the Tupperware. Now this is the fun part. You'll see the liquid coming right out, and what you're going to want to do is squeeze. You should see my setup here. Squeeze the nut bag. Look at all that liquid coming out. So much. And I like to start at the top and work my way down. So much liquid, right? And voila! I have my celery juice. I have my celery pulp. I just throw this away. Not my nut bag. I throw the pulp away, but you can see it's really dry. I can actually pick it up. It's extremely dry. I got all the liquid out. So I will throw the pulp away, rinse my nut bag, let it hang to dry, and that's it. Voila! Cheers! It's like a little peyote bowl. Oh, it tastes so good. You might notice that some celery actually tastes a little bit salty. That is because it has some salt clusters in it that are actually really, really good. They bind to toxins and viruses in the system, in the liver, and they help flush out viruses in the system. It also primarily helps to bring back balance to that HCl production in your gut, and that is what we are going for, so that way all of the good nutrient-dense food that you are going to be eating over the next couple weeks can be broken down efficiently and assimilated properly into your body. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this is helpful. I hope this answered all your questions. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask away, and have a lovely day.